What is the best performance cruiser now available? Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're well. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. So, best performance cruiser on the market right now. Which is it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But, BMW, as we know, they've just released the concept R20. It's only a concept. Let's not all get ahead of ourselves. It's only a prototype concept. But it's a kind of an idea of bigger engines, more performance. Where can it take us? Where can the company take us? But if you look at the numbers, which is the best one on the market? And is power all that? Is the horsepower and torque numbers, are they the only things that you should be concerned about? Well, if we take the Harley Davidson, for example, with the 117 engine that you can find in the Breakout, you can find the Lowrider ST, yada, yada, yada. It's delivering 168 Newton meters and 105 horsepower. So good numbers. And yeah, you do feel quite a substantial amount of power when you're riding those 117s. The Ducati DFL V4, that also delivers 168 horsepower, but 126 Newton meters. And also, it's the best power to weight ratio. So you're going to get a lot better performance on a DFL, right? Great. So good performance cruisers. Yeah, it really depends which way you want to go. Let's look at the Triumph. The Triumph Rocket 3. Now, the Triumph Rocket 3 delivers 180 brake horsepower. I mean, just insane, really, isn't it? And 225 Newton meters of torque. That is by far the most powerful performance cruiser on the road today. But as we know, BMW, they've come out with their R20. Well, there aren't any figures for that I'm aware of, but the R18 isn't exactly groundbreaking in terms of horsepower and torque. In fact, the R20 is only 200cc more. Yes, they've tweaked the performance on it as well, but essentially we're not expecting there to be substantial gains in terms of horsepower, in terms of torque as well. Now, the R18 is quoted at having 91 horsepower, or thereabouts, and 158 Newton meters of torque. Now, obviously, bearing in mind that these power and torque figures, they all come in at different RPMs, and so each bike is different. So it's always, whilst you can match, let's say, or compare horsepower and torque figures, it really depends on when that power is delivered, when the torque is delivered, where the horsepower comes in, but also the weight of the machine as well. And also, is it rideable? Is it usable? That's the key thing. So out of all the ones that we've talked about, if you're talking about higher speed riding, then you'd want something like a Ducati, you want something like a Triumph that could really deliver not only in terms of performance, but handling on the road. If we're talking about just straight line power, then actually all of these are going to deliver, substantial power that's going to get the juices flowing, as it were. With the R18 only delivering 91 horsepower, but a substantial amount of torque, of course, will the BMW R20, will that deliver even more? And let's say for the future as well. Well, we're talking about 158 Newton meters for the R18. You would imagine the R20 coming in at about 165, let's say. 91 horsepower does seem a little feeble when you compare it to the Triumph and also to the Ducati, of course. So you would imagine the R20 coming in at, let's say, 100, 105, 106 horsepower. So that's pretty much what the Harley Davidson is doing right now. So BMW will have to come up with a brand new concept in motorcycle just to even compete with what's already available. So the best performance cruiser right now, well, again, it really depends on where you want that performance to come in and how much of it you're going to use, and then how usable it is in the style of motorcycle that you're using, and also the rides that you're going to take. What roads are you going to be riding on? So if you're looking at delivering that horsepower to the wheels and then keeping it on the road, especially in twisties, then you've got to be looking at something that's a lot more agile, a lot more flickable. Then you're going to be looking at the Ducati, and you're going to be looking at, certainly, I would say the Triumph seems to be the one that I would put at the top of the tree in terms of out and out power, but also the way it rides. And I've ridden these bikes, and I've got to say the Triumph is a fantastic bike. It's a fantastic bike to ride. with that power as well, but it's just the way it delivers that power, and also the way you can just throw that bike around. It's amazing. Very similar to the Ducati DFL. Ducati is just a little bit lighter, so it feels as if you've got more power there, more power available. But if we're stepping back from that performance and still want the performance but a bit more of a cruising kind of ride, then yeah, you've got to look to the Harley Davidson right now. Yes, I suppose you could bring in some of the Indians as well, but the R18 just doesn't seem to be in the same conversation as those other three, let's say. The Harley Davidson with the 117 engine, the Ducati DFR with that V4, and obviously the Triumph Rocket 3. They seem to stand alone, whereas the BMW still has a long way to go to get into that performance bracket. Now, there is another motorcycle manufacturer, very much lesser known manufacturer, certainly one that's more bespoke, which is Arch Motorcycles, the KR-GT1. And now they got different iterations of that bike as well. If you're not familiar with Arch Motorcycles, this is the motorcycle company that was started by the actor Keanu Reeves. Now, for the KR-GT1, the performance figures, there's some different quotations here, depending on where you look. Now, if you look at the main website and a few other corresponding websites as well, they're saying that the horsepower and the torque are pretty much the same, about 121 horsepower, 121 newton meters of torque. So it's got good performance figures, not the best, not the highest, but the good performance figures. Now, I haven't ridden the KR-GT1, but of the reports that I've read, and I've spoken to a few people who have ridden them, and say the way it delivers that performance on the road to the wheels and the way it rides is just fantastic. But obviously we're looking at a crazy price tag for those bikes, 80, 90, 100,000 or whatever they're going for these days. So whilst the KR-GT1 is in the conversation, you kind of have to separate it out in its own little domain for me, because it's not in the same kind of affordability as the other bikes. These bikes are in the kind of mid-20s, late 20s, £30,000 shekel mark, whereas now you're talking about 80, 90,000, maybe even more, depending on the accessories and what they're going for now. So whilst the performance cruiser is great, and that's kind of what it came in as, the KR-GT1, it has to do a lot more in terms of performance, in terms of power and torque, and the way it delivers that to bring it back into this conversation. But for me, it kind of stands alone. I would still say, if you're doing a straight comparison between all these bikes, the Triumph Rocket 3 is the one to go for. If you're looking for a performance cruiser, that's the one to go for, the Triumph Rocket 3. But let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell for all future videos. Whilst the Harley Davidson's with the 117 engine is a fantastic bike, whilst the Ducati is fabulous to ride, whilst the KR-GT1 is great, I don't think the R18s or the R20s, if they ever become a thing, are going to be able to compete. The only one for me is the Triumph Rocket 3. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you again. Bye now.